And now for a conversation presented by Sandals Resorts International. Please welcome Sandals Executive Chairman Adam Stewart in conversation with Skift President Carolyn Kremins.
Hello again. Good to see you again. I hope you're having a good time and enjoyed that. That was a great conversation.
It's fantastic.
Right? When last year we spoke at the Skift Global Forum, except Adam was virtual. So I'm so happy to have you here in person. But we talked a lot about sustainability and what Sandals is doing about that. Today, I want to focus a little bit more on how Sandals is developing the next generation of hospitality talent, which is got to be a difficult proposition. But just to set the stage, Adam and Sandals is deeply rooted in the Caribbean. Adam, you're sixth generation Jamaican.
I am.
16, did I get that right? 16 all-inclusive resorts throughout the region.
24 in total.
24 in total. I stand corrected. You probably just built some, in the last 5 minutes.
Overnight.
And employs 15,000 people. So you have to think about that in the Caribbean. You are like the economic engine for the economy there. So what you do matters. So let's just start right there. I mean, why is it so important to develop talent, and especially local talent? Why is that so critical to the Sandals organization?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, thank you for having me here. This is really incredible. When the Almighty was creating the world, He gave every region something. There's some superpower that existed. In our region of the world, He gave us the sun, He gave us the sand, He gave us the sea, and He gave us these amazing people, the talent of the Caribbean itself. And as you look at the economies of the Caribbean, in almost every single country, by far the largest contributor to GDP is tourism, and more so. So trade and from agriculture or manufacturing, whatever the industries may be, tourism is an amplifier of all of those existing industries. So as we look forward, the future is solidified in and around tourism. So as we look to, with that as a belief system, and a belief system that the Caribbean is, no disrespect, but the Caribbean is the most beautiful part of the world, that we just see a huge and bright future in Caribbean tourism, and preparation the next generation is what it's going to take.
Yeah, and not only talent. When we were talking, we caught up last week before, just to get ready for our conversation, and I think you mentioned something like 90% of the fruit and vegetables are grown like right then and there,
yeah.
Where most other companies are importing it from the mainland.
Yeah, so certainly we've seen the importance of supply chain in the last couple of years. I mean, if ever we've seen it in the last 2 years. And in our world, we have spent a long time working in and around supply chain. So farmers, fishers, manufacturing, transportation, just the whole ecosystem of tourism, and trying to amplify it in our Caribbean islands. One of the coolest programs that we did years ago was buying seeds for farmers, giving them fixed contracts, putting them in business, and ultimately everything that we do is driven around customer experience. So we were able to create this sort of agricultural tied tourism ecosystem whereby farmers are reaping their crops and getting them to our resorts within 24 hours. So real farm-to-table execution in and around customer experience, but at the same time, the inclusivity of taking the farmers and making sure that they're in the economic atmosphere of tourism.
Right. So another way that you're impacting the local communities. So every hospitality company, they have their own training programs. They want everyone who comes in the door to kind of live and breathe their brand, and obviously Sandals has that too. But you actually have even another vision, a bigger vision than that. Sandals is looking, or is in the process now, of building an international hospitality school to compete with some of the big schools that are out there. And that's fascinating. Tell us why you're doing this.
Yeah, sure. So Sandals was founded by my dad in 1981. He was a 15-year-old that dropped out of high school. He had a learning disability, and he just had this amazing superpower. He grew up on the beach in Jamaica, sort of skipping school and going fishing, and his superpower became his work ethic, his ability to see, the quality of a beach, et cetera, et cetera. And he built this business up from one person and understood the value in kind of transfer of knowledge and on-the-job training. And as he built Sandals from 99 bedrooms into what it became, he saw the impact that exposure did for people, like any one of us. Seeing is believing, seeing a different world. So we went from one employee, 99 bedrooms, to 2 hotels, to 3 hotels, and we're on the way to being 18,000 team members in the Caribbean, making us about twice as large as the next biggest company in the Caribbean. So as we were approaching our 30th anniversary, we took our training programs that at that time were well-defined, and we created something called the Sandals Corporate University. So it works with University of the West Indies, it works with Florida International Hospitality, we've worked with Ryerson, we've sort of international universities have tied into us over the years. And it's been a smashing success. So at any given time, all of our team members are enrolled, completely paid for by the company. It's this advancement of human capital. My dad died last year, and his view was, with every resort I build, I'm sort of practically building a university in each of these Caribbean islands. My view was that we're going to continue to do that, but his name should have been on the side of a building. And considering that tourism is the economic superpower of the Caribbean, it felt right, him as sort of being the king of Caribbean tourism in many ways, of modern tourism, that we create a standalone international university that will prepare, this largest industry for our region. There isn't a standalone world-class hospitality school. So we married together the University of the West Indies, Florida International's Chaplain School of Hospitality Management, which I happen to go to, so I'm a bit partial, the Sandals Corporate University, and the Sandals Corporation. So we'll have a physical campus in Jamaica, in Montego Bay, Jamaica. It's not a bad place to live at all if you're looking for a university. The infrastructure of Sandals Resorts right throughout the Caribbean becomes the practical learning grounds, our kitchens and our restaurants and our banqueting centers. It's their academia, it's the swag of Sandals kind of coming together in a quest for the preparation of the next generation Caribbean national, and anyone from anywhere in the world that wants to do tourism in a little bit of a different slant down with us in the Caribbean.
Can you imagine going to school in like Jamaica? I would be like your dad, I wouldn't go. Anyway, too much information, TMI. But speaking of your dad, and I had a great pleasure of knowing him years past, and he, the late Butch Stewart, his legacy is education, like at the heart of what he did, and I see you carrying that legacy forward, which is beautiful. Or in and around education, there's so many programs, so I'm not going to ask you to go through all of them, but tell us about your favorite program that currently exists that you're doing. Yeah,
I think as you look at, tourism has changed a lot. We started in the early 1980s, time and place, got a few things right, built it and scaled it. As you look at the future of tourism in our neck of the woods, there's always the opportunity for boutiques, there's always the opportunity for hospitality at large, but there's a buzzword in the Caribbean which we call linkages. And linkages is the connectivity, the economic connectivity. So the entertainers, the musicians, the farmers, the fishers, as I mentioned, the tour providers, it's everything that you do. Hotels are 24/7, 365, they're consuming constantly. And some of it's glamorous stuff, and some of it's not. The hardware store, the paint, the chemicals that you need, it's everything that goes together. And one of our goals in the Caribbean, and it comes back to the supply chain, is to make sure that inclusion. In Jamaica, tourism is about 12% of GDP directly, but if you count indirectly, it's almost 40%. So that's the agricultural elements and the transportation. So taxi drivers, they're considered transportation, not tourism, but a plane lands, and they're the taxi drivers that pick them up. So it's this belief system that it earns our foreign exchange, it stabilizes our economies, and we're broadening the base of making sure more people are on the journey with us within tourism, even if it's not directly in the tourism enterprise in and of itself. So we do a litany of programs from putting the farmers in business, educational, you name it, to try and advance Caribbean nationals. It's a belief in the Caribbean itself.
I don't know that people really think about that. Like when you think about a hospitality company, being built somewhere, and then you think about the entire chain that's impacted, which is incredible. One of the questions I want to bring up with you is as you're developing your talent, your workforce. Not to put you on the spot, but there's a huge gap, especially in hospitality, when it comes to women in leadership, on executive teams, and we're seeing some improvement, but there's still a lot more to go. So tell us what you're doing, how you're focused on that.
I mean, look, it's in many ways it's true. The national motto of the country of Jamaica is out of many one people. And it talks about race, ethnicities, gender, and all of it coming together. And there are many reasons why globally you've not seen a deeper entrant of females into the workforce. In our company, 95% of our company is powered by Caribbean nationals. So, and these are a mix of people that have come to the Caribbean over the years, but Caribbean nationals by country. Within that, 50% of our entire team, our team today is a little over 15,000 people, 50% of that are women. And of that 50% of them are in managerial and leadership positions in the company. And my own view is that you can't have a balanced, you cannot have a balanced business if you don't have it all mixed up with a kaleidoscope of beauty. So you have the harmonies of the Caribbean accents, and Caribbean people sound like they're singing when they talk to you. You have the incredible positivity. If you smile at the Caribbean national, they're coming back to you. You have the men, the women, you have people of every ethnic background, and that is a kaleidoscope of beauty of what makes Sandals Resorts. And we're advancing. We just rolled out a program. We're including daycare as a trial for some of our mothers. We saw the pressure of what COVID, through COVID, of the role of females in hospitality in particular, because there's so much that's required of them, not just at work, but at home. So we have to do better by facilitating overall, but it makes you a stronger company.
I like that, kaleidoscope of beauty. I'm going to use that one. Adam, we're out of time, but I just want to say that when I first got to know you a few years ago, you talked about how your goal is to put Caribbean on the world stage. And I've got to say that if you don't follow Adam and Sandals on Instagram, you should. The kind of work that they're doing is amazing, and I think you're getting there, so congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Great work.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.